What's a uniquely European problem? Spending 3 hours driving to another country because the soda, candy, and alcohol is cheaper and filling entire trailers and cars with it. Everyone who lives in Denmark and Jutland takes road trip over the border to Germany shopping at places like Kohl and Flegart and stockpile huge amounts of soda, food, and alcohol so that they have enough for months or years to come. It's basically just shitty Viking raids. Renovating your house only to discover a Roman fort in your basement, which puts the Reno on hold for 2 years. I got one better, digging up your potatoes and ending up with some WW2 hand grenades. This actually happened to my grandpa. Having a war every 20 years or so. Sincerely, someone living in the Balkans. Small roads. Don't know if this is just England, but my street can only fit one car and a skinny person, and the main road outside it can barely squeeze a bus and a big van. The wrong song representing your country in Eurovision. Still bitter. On 13th October 1992, following written orders, Swiss Army cadets unknowingly crossed the border and went to Treason to set up an observation post. Swiss commanders had overlooked the fact that Triesenberg was not on Swiss territory. Switzerland apologized to Liechtenstein for the incident. In March 2007, a company of 171 Swiss soldiers mistakenly entered Liechtenstein as they were disorientated and took a wrong turn due to bad weather conditions. The troops returned to Swiss territory before they had traveled more than 2 km into the country. The Liechtenstein authorities did not discover the incursion and were informed by the Swiss after the incident. The incident was disregarded by both sides. A Liechtenstein spokesman said, "It's not like they invaded with attack helicopters. No problem, these things happen." Switzerland invaded Liechtenstein twice. By accident. Having to Google, does X take the euro every time? If the country doesn't, then you're coming home with lots of fiddling small change that the banks won't deal with. In my drawer right now I have 20 Croatian kunas, 418 Ukrainian hryvnias, 50 Russian rubles, 100 Hungarian forint, 3.17 euros, 1000 Albanian liku, and 25 Bulgarian leva. Having a website in Russian language automatically because some people still think your country is part of Soviet Union. Paying for public toilets. Despite having the euro, still having to occasionally change currency when going to other European countries. This content is not available in your region. I'm from the Netherlands. Oh, where's that? Never heard of it. Amsterdam. I know that place. Do you smoke weed? Cigarette butts? Cigarette butts everywhere. Ever go to Barcelona? The place is basically one big ashtray. Ryanair. Might as well pay extra for breathing in the plane. Planning a day at the beach but having the day ruined by finding explosives from the war. Or planning a nice walk in the woods but having the day ruined by finding explosives from the war. Or planning a nice day at sea but finding explosives from the war. Or planning a hike in the mountains but finding explosives from the war. Getting confused when Americans use mm/dd/y and Fahrenheit. American recipes that require a packet or a can of ready-made Old J's secret mix. Having to translate American recipes to real units. Missing an exit and accidentally driving through Belgium. Being at a social function where people randomly switch between 4 different languages. Being redirected to the regional website even though you don't speak the local language. Not being able to get to work because they dug up another WW2 bomb and need to shut down a whole neighborhood. Never being more than a 2-hour walk from civilization. Remembering the default speed limits of every neighboring country. Winters that are cold enough to make summer sports impossible, but not cold enough to make winter sports possible. Studying a few months in a neighboring country, falling in love, getting married, and suddenly having a bunch of relatives you can't talk to. Happens very quickly here. Happened to me. Having to know something about American units, feet, inches, Fahrenheit, ounces, just to understand internet conversations, especially Fahrenheit, is confusing. At least with inches and feet I kind of know how much cm it is, so I can make a rough guess how much it is, but with Fahrenheit I have no clue till I type it into Google to convert it to Celsius. Similar with us hardiness zones in gardening circles. I learned the KPPEN climate classification system in high school, but then people online say stuff like I live in zone 6A, and I have no idea what that means. Hot, cold, wet, dry. If they'd just say something like I live in a CF climate, I'd understand. Maritime climate with plenty of rain all year, or even just a broader maritime climate, I'd understand. But those zones I can't even convert into KPPEN climates since it uses other characteristics to divide climates, so whenever I run into those climate zones the best I can do is look up US hardiness zones map of Europe, look what part of Europe has the zone mentioned, and make a guess about what kind of climate it is based on that. But that's a lot of work to do for every comment that mentions a zone, and it's not very precise, especially since I've probably never been to the part of Europe that zone fits with, so I also don't know the climate there exactly. Edit. One strange thing around here though, if there's a TV or computer screen for sale somewhere they list the screen size in inches, so I never know exactly how big a screen is when looking them up online. Only that the 25-inch must be bigger as the 20-inch, but I'd rather buy a screen in store so I can actually see how big it is. Of course I could also use a measuring tape since they often have both cm and inches on it, but still, I can't really picture it in inches like I can in cm. When someone from the USA says Europe, they almost always mean France and the UK and don't even know about the existence of your nation.